Uh, Good morning, students. Welcome to this live virtual classes organized by Board of Studies Academics. So till now, we had completed 7 units till public finance. All concepts that is to be discussed is been discussed in detail. Apart from that, practice questions and mm, clarity, the doubts that the students are having, all is been already been deliberated in detail. So I think we are hopeful that students are taking maximum advantage of this exercise, because ultimately the whole purpose is to give to the student, to help the student in learning the concepts that is important in economics, particularly that has been given in your study module, so that it will be helpful in their preparation. Because ultimately, when you study something, definitely, if you even you don't understand 100%, at least 50% you can recall that. So again, while making your notes, or again you are when you are reading the second time, so again 10% has been added. So thrice, 4 times when you read the same concepts, so everything that has been crystal clear. Although we are making it very simple for you, because uh, uh, for economics, definitely, particularly at the foundation stage, is basic only. Because generally the questions that has been asked in your examinations are from the study material and are in basic in nature, because that does not involve more of econometrics, or does not involve calculus and all. So mathematical tools, I mean to say. So very basic understanding of all these concepts has been there itself. Although uh, we had make it extensive course material, because all the concepts that has been required at latter stage also, we are making it uh, we are making it given to you, that so that it will be helpful in your whole CA journey. Apart from this, the classes, we are also conducting this mock test series 1, 2, BOS success 1, 2 for your examinations in the coming month of August. So all this is already been planned, and that has been already hosted. So the student can uh, plan their preparation, that they are able to give both the mock tests, so that they can have a, sort of a feel of examination before the final examination that has been anyway scheduled in the month of September, probably in the first week, that is in the first week of September. So that is why, and we are going as per the schedule that we have already been uh, that already been given in your this is our knowledge portal, and that has been already been communicated to you. So uh, I'm not taking much time, because our faculty, Assis Kedia, uh, is now eager to start a fresh chapter, that is already he had dealt in detail the earlier chapter of public finance, and now he'll be giving you in-depth analysis, the basic of money market, because that is also one of the most important concepts in economics. So over to you, Assis, for guiding the participants.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So, hello, students. Uh, Sir, please confirm whether I'm audible.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, audible, audible.
okay. Thank you so much, sir. And so, hello, students. I'm C. Ashish Kedia. And students, we will be starting with Chapter 8, Unit 1 today. So, the agenda of today's class is Chapter 8, Unit 1 of Business Economics. What is the topic, sir? The name of the topic is Concept of Money Demand. Sir, the first question would be that what are we studying here? This is chapter 8, unit 1. So, sir, what are we studying here? Number one thing is, most of us in our class 11 and 12 have studied what is money, right? Most of us have studied what is money. It is anything that is generally acceptable as a means of exchange. Example, let's say, for example, students, I have a calculator here. Okay. You want this calculator from me. Okay. So in exchange, I will want something. Money is something that can act as a medium of exchange for any transaction on earth. Agreed? Anything that is acceptable as a medium of exchange, a unit of account. Sir, what does unit of account mean? Measure of value. You can measure the value of any good or service in terms of money. Let's say I have this pen in my hand. You can express its value in terms of money, correct? This is a calculator. You can express its value in terms of money, right? Let's say I am imparting the lecture. Okay. So suppose if I'm imparting the lecture and you are giving me certain payment for it, that can also be measured in terms of money. So anything that is acceptable as a medium of exchange that can be used to measure value of any commodity and that can act as a store of value. Students, do you know in the old days, there used to be barter system. What happened in the barter system? In place of goods and services, you used to obtain goods and services only. Say, again, the calculator example, say you have, say you have two t-shirts. Okay. So say you have two t-shirts. है ना? Now, students, if you have two t-shirts and I want to exchange that with calculator, so both of us can agree कि okay, sir, you give us two t-shirts, in exchange you take 5 calculators from us. Okay. So that used to be the case of barter world. The problem with that was the possibility of storage. Say somebody is exchanging tomatoes in exchange of clothes. Now clothes can be stored for future, but can tomatoes be stored for future? No. That was the problem of barter. The good thing with money is it can be stored for future uses. Okay. So let's say students, all of you are studying right now. Okay. All of you are studying right now. After 5 years or after 6 years, for some function of yours, you would need money. So what you can do is you can start earning now and save it for, let's say, after 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, whatever your time frame be. Money can be stored for future use, but other goods cannot be used for future use. So in my learning objectives, I told you first I will be explaining what is money, its function and its features. Then something which nobody would have done in their 11 12, which is the main area. We will study the classical and modern theories of money demand. We will study the post-Keynesian theories. We will evaluate the relationship between money and different variables affecting money demand. Okay, so there it is. Till now, what would be clear to all of us? Money is a function of four. Money is a function of four: a medium, a measure, a standard, a store. Money is a function of four: a medium, a measure, a standard, a store. Medium, medium of exchange. You can exchange money for anything on this planet, right? Medium, measure. You can measure the value of any goods and services in terms of money. Medium, a measure. Then we have standard and store. Store, I have already told, you can use that money for your future storage. Okay, you can use that money for your future storage. Standard means standard of deferred payments. Standard of deferred payments. What does that mean, sir? Standard of deferred payment means, dear students, that suppose we have entered into a transaction today, okay, where I have borrowed from you 5 lakh rupees, or I have purchased some goods on credit from you. That is, I have not paid money. You said, okay, you are going to pay 3 months later. So for 3 months later, you charge me an interest. This interest charging is possible only because of money. Standard of deferred payments. A medium, a measure, a standard, a store. Future payments become possible. One more thing, students, you should remember is that this function measure of value, that is, you can measure the value of any goods and services in terms of money, is also called unit of account. So you can write it down, students, if you need. Unit of account is equals to measure of value. I am 100% sure, students, that you know this is a 100% MCQ paper. Okay. So knowledge of each and individual term is rather relevant. Okay. Unit of account is equals to measure of value function of money. Okay. While I will be discussing, I will be explaining each and every point in detail. Okay. While I'll be explaining each and every point in detail. I would leave it to you students that, you know, note whatever you think is important and make handwritten notes. Okay. This handwritten notes are really going to help you. Whatever notes I have, that I will share. I don't mind that. But what is much needed is you also maintain your handwritten notes, as it's going to help you in the exam. First understand, then note whatever you need to. Okay. Now, so money is a function of our medium measure standard store. Now, there are some characteristics of money. For something to be called as money, it should have certain characteristics, class. What are the characteristics it should have? It should be generally acceptable. So let's say one student comes to me and says, sir, you accept this remote. This is a remote student that I have. Sir, accept this remote in exchange of you teaching us. Now, why will I accept this remote? I won't accept this remote. But yes, if somebody gives me money, will I deny that? No. Money is generally acceptable for all the transactions on earth. So number one is generally acceptable. Next, money should be something which is durable. Durable means something that should not perish. For example, students, let's, for example, take this as a consideration. Suppose students, I have this 50 rupee note. Now, if this 50 rupee note gets worn off easily, or the color gets wiped off easily, or the alphabet or the number 50 only itself vanishes, can this be called as money? Tell me. No, sir. How will you call it as money? Sir, it is dangerous rather. That is why it is written, it should be durable. That is, it should have some kind of longevity. All right. Then it should be, dear students, divisible. As I had shown you, a 50 rupee note right now. Okay. Sometimes what may happen is that the transaction that I am undertaking might only be worth rupees not 50, but only worth rupees 10 or 20. Just a moment, class. Okay. Hold on, class. Yes. So it may so happen that a transaction that I am taking is not worth rupees 50, is worth rupees 10 only. So are there not 10 rupee notes circulating in the market? There are, right? So it should be divisible. So if I want to do a transaction worth 500, I have 500. If I want to do a transaction worth rupees 100, I have that as well. Okay, sir. It should be portable. That's interesting. It should be portable. Portable means it should be possible to carry it from one place to another. Just like while I left my home today in the morning, I was able to carry it with me. So it should be portable. It should be difficult to counterfeit. That is, for something to be called as money, it should be tough to create fake notes. See, sir, you will tell me that, but sir, we keep hearing it in the news. There are some fake notes circulating in the market. See, every good original will have a good fake item. That is not the concern. It should not be easy to fake. It should not be, it should have so much details that it cannot be easily copied. Okay. It should be uniform. Exactly. Students, there are so many students today I see attending online from North India, South India, West India, and East India. There are many people attending online. Now, if I visit North India, students, I am from Calcutta. For those who don't know, now suppose from Calcutta, I visit, let's say, a northern part of the country. Let's say I visit Delhi. Okay. Or let's say I visit JNK, Jammu and Kashmir. Or let's say I visit the western part, Mumbai, or South Tamil Nadu, Chennai, whatever places I mentioned, the 100 rupee that I take in these places, will it be different or will it be the same? Sir, it will be the same. That is uniformity, the same everywhere. Uniformity means it should be the same everywhere. And finally, for something to be called as money, Dear students, it should be relatively scarce. Scarce means not available in plenty. Not available in plenty. It means, see, anything that has value will only have value when it is scarce. Today, well, think it logically, students. There are people who want to wear or buy, let's say, gold, jewelry of diamond. Tell me honestly, are these jewelries of gold and diamond or these metals of gold and diamond essential to human survival? Would the human planet, would this planet Earth become extinct if there was no gold or diamond? Sir, nothing would matter. It wouldn't matter, sir. Agreed? But what if there was no water? Sir, there would be no life on Earth. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. Students, what I'm trying to teach you here is that water still, water is most essential. Still, it has no value. Diamond is not essential. Still, it has value. It is because of scarcity. So money to be worth the time of the people, it should have some value. It can have value only when it is scarce. If there is plenty of money, money will lose its value. It is called hyperinflation. You know, I will give you an example. Vietnam. If you visit Vietnam currently, you would be carrying, in terms of Vietnam, I am saying, you would be carrying lakhs of rupees in terms of Vietnamese currency, and you would only be able to buy some packets of bread. Money is worthless because of hyperinflation. Understood, sir. So, students, to sum it up, I have created a colorful notes for you all. Pay attention, everybody here. Let's sum it up for everyone. Let's see. What is money? What did I tell everybody? It refers to the assets which are commonly used and accepted as a means of payment or as a medium of exchange or for transferring purchasing power. Exactly. Next, money is totally liquid. Totally liquid means easily exchangeable. There cannot be even a liquid form. Like money kept in the bank becomes liquid when you extract that money from it. So money is totally liquid, has generalized purchasing power, and is generally acceptable in settlement of all transactions and in discharge of other kind of business obligations, including future payments. Remember this future payments. This is what is called standard of deferred payments. Okay. Students, I told there are four functions of money: medium and measure, and standard and store. Medium and measure, standard and store. Medium is a function of money that facilitates easy exchange of goods and services. You can buy and sell. You can buy and sell. Easy exchange of goods and services. Measure. Acha, measure of value is also called unit of account. It means you can express the value of any commodity in terms of money very easily. Value of any commodity in terms of money very easily. Standard of deferred payment means future payments become easy because of money. Future payments become easy because of money. Sir, then you have store of value function. Dear, store of value function means what? Money can be stored for future uses. These two are called the primary functions of money. Okay. Medium and measure are called the primary function of money, and standard and store are called the secondary function of money. You can remember it like this, na? SSS. Secondary, standard, store. And primary functions are medium of exchange and measure of value. Okay. One more thing that I discussed with you all that I would like to sum up with you all is characteristics of good money. Something to be called as good money, it should be generally acceptable. See, each image has been given for a purpose. Generally acceptable. Generally acceptable. See, there are many people. So no one should be rejecting this. Everybody should be able to accept money, right? It should be durable. It is a shield. Shield is long lasting. So money should be able to last. It should not get destroyed easily. Here there is a thief or some doubtful person, difficult to counterfeit. it should not be possible to create fake notes. Okay. Just like diamond has scarcity, money should not have as much scarcity. But what I'm trying to say is money should also have scarcity in order for it to have some value. Okay. Let's say on the road, you see 500 notes. Do you really think? Now you say that that would be great luxury, sir. We will bring all the 500 notes to our home. Okay. You will carry a bucket. You will carry thousands of 500 rupee notes. Somebody else will do somebody else. Do you really think value of goods and services are going to remain the same? A packet of bread that costs, let's say, rupees 10 today would immediately from the next day start costing rupees 10,000. So did you really win by looting those notes from the road? You did not. Because proportionately the value of goods and services have increased by rather much more. Yes, money should be easily transported from one place to another. It should be possible for money to be transported. Next, divisible without losing value. Yes. So the 500 notes, I can break it into 500 notes or 200 and 100 notes. Still the value remains the same. And finally, it should be effortlessly recognizable. One should be able to recognize it and it should be uniform across the country. One very important MCQ question. It is a PYQ question. You can write PYQ in your notes. You can write PYQ in your notes. What is that question? Okay, before I say that, we have repeated it in earlier classes. I would remind you again about this subject, economics. Students, you will get 100 questions, each of 1 mark in the MCQ format. So 100 marks. Okay. For every correct answer that you write in the exam, that you mark in the exam, you get +1. For every question that you leave, you don't attempt, you get a 0. But if you attempt and it's wrong, you get a minus 0.25. Remember this, class. This question came in the exam. Demand for money is dash, derived demand. Remember this, students. Demand for money is derived demand. Before we move to different theories of money demand, before we move in today's class, that is unit 1, different theories of money demand, I would first like to explain why demand for money is a derived demand and what is a derived demand in fact. See, there is one thing called direct demand. Students, all of you have direct demand for knowledge. All of you want a knowledge, right? All of you want to understand economics. That's why you all are attending this class. Otherwise, why would you be attending this class? Okay. Since you have direct demand for knowledge, friends, since you have direct demand for knowledge, so in order to satisfy that demand for knowledge, my demand arose so that I am able to communicate that knowledge to you. So my demand is a derived demand. It was not my demand that was direct. It has been derived because of demand for knowledge. Similarly, students, your demand is directly for the good house. But to make that good house, cement, steel, etc. are needed. That is a derived demand. Similarly, nobody needs money. Everybody needs comfort of money. For example, you don't want money. You want a good car. You want good food. You want a good house. Because you want these things, you want money. So money's demand has been derived, not directly, but indirectly to satisfy the wants for some other commodities. Nobody is going to ask you like this. Why is money's demand known as derived demand? Nobody is going to ask you. But we should understand. It arises because money helps in acquiring goods and services. That is why, class, demand for money is known as a derived demand. Okay, understood, sir. Now, different theories for demand for money I will be explaining again. Again, we will come to this chart or notes, but one after the other. Okay. So this I have explained. Money's demand is a derived demand. Now, students, there are different theories of demand for money. There are different theories of demand for money. Sir, what do you mean? What are we studying here? Here, we are studying why is money demanded? Money चाहिए ही क्यों? Why do we need money? Each economist has a different explanation. Each economist has a different explanation. See, pay attention, everyone. There are three approaches here. There are three aspects here to be remembered. Money can be demanded for one of the three reasons or three of three reasons. Remember these three terms: transaction motive, transaction motive, speculation motive, transaction motive, speculation motive, precautionary motive. What are the three reasons behind demand for money? Outside this, there cannot be any fourth reason. Why people demand money? What are the three reasons behind demand for money? Now, each economist said some other reason. But whatever any economist said is comprised under these three heads. What are the three heads? Transaction motive, precautionary motive, speculative motive. Transaction motive says that people need money because they need to buy goods and services. This is called transaction demand for money or transaction motive. This is called what motive? Transaction motive. That why do people need money? To undertake transactions. Somebody asks you, why do you need money? You say, because I want to undertake some transaction. I want to buy this chair. I want to buy this camera, or I want to buy this phone. That's transaction demand for money. I need to buy food. That's transaction demand for money. Students, second point is speculation demand for money. Speculative demand for money. Transaction done, speculative demand for money. What is this speculative demand for money? Let's hear it out. Share prices of Reliance Industries. I get some news that share prices of Reliance Industries is going to go up. I got to hear it somewhere. Now I thought, wow, if the share prices of Reliance Industries is going to go up, let's do something. Let's do something. If their share prices is going to go up, let's buy more shares of Reliance today. And when the price rises, I will sell it. When the price rises, I will sell it. Speculative demand for money. Speculative demand for money. Because I want to undertake speculative activities. Speculation is what? Some kind of guesswork. I need to undertake that guesswork. And so I undertake the transaction for money. That's called speculative. That's called speculative demand for money. Another reason why we need money. The third one. Precautionary motive. What is it, class? Precautionary motive. See, students, in 2020-21, we witnessed COVID. Something dangerous came. Precautionary motive is exactly that. Precautionary motive is exactly that. That something might happen in the future. Something might happen in the future. So, to protect yourself against such future contingencies, you keep some money at home. Cautionary motive as a means of risk aversion. So any economist would not go beyond these three: transaction, precautionary, and speculative. Now let's hear it out what every economist has to say under different theories, different purposes. All right. So first is Mr. Irving Fisher. Fisher's theory is known as quantity theory of money. What is it called? Quantity theory of money, QTM. So two questions you already get. First could be, quantity theory of money was given by whom? Irving Fisher. Or second question could be, Irving Fisher gave which theory? Quantity theory of money. Now, what does this theory says? Students, as per this theory, everybody pay attention. As per this theory, people need money to undertake transactions. People need money to undertake different transactions. People need money to undertake different transactions. So for Irving Fisher, there was nothing called speculative and precautionary motive. Fisher understood only one theory, which was what? Transaction motive. And Fisher gave an equation, a famous equation, MV equals to PT. What is M? Money supply into velocity of circulation is equals to price level into number of transactions. T for transactions. That's how we know that Fisher's equation talked about which demand for money? Transactions demand for money. So as per Fisher, people demand money to undertake different transactions. And more the number of and more the price of goods and services, more will the demand for money be. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Higher the price level, you all should write it. Higher the price level, higher the demand for money. Under Irving Fisher, higher the price level, higher the demand for money. You could write it like this: Irving Fisher, quantity theory of money. Okay, quantity theory of money, Irving Fisher, higher price level, higher money demand. Higher price level, higher money demand. Plus, higher price level is equals to higher monetary demand. Okay, understood, sir. Higher price level means, dear, higher demand for money. Dear students, higher price level means higher demand for money. Fantastic. Okay, fantastic, sir. Done. Now, dear students, let's go ahead and discuss something else. Fisher also gave another equation, that is MV plus M dash V dash equals to PT. Sir, what is M dash V dash? First, Fisher gave MV equal to PT. He meant money with the public only. Then he realized banks also hold money, isn't it? So he gave this equation M dash V dash equal to PT. You don't need to remember it in details. Only few things. What is M? Money supply. What is V? Velocity of circulation. What is P? Price level. And what is T? Number of transactions. That's it. So let's revise the Fisher thing before I move forward. Then I will summarize it using the chart. Okay. Fisher gave which theory of money? QTM, quantity theory of money. As per Fisher, why do people need money? What is the reason behind people needing money? Because people want to undertake certain transactions. Did Fisher give any equation? Yes, the Fisher gave equation MV equal to PT, or MV plus M dash V dash equals to PT. Dear students, here M is money supply, V is velocity of circulation, P is price of the commodity, P is price of the commodity, and T is transaction motive. T is transaction motive. So dears, it's MV equals to PT. And guess what? And guess what? MV plus M dash V dash is equals to PT is already written here. So nothing doing now. Now, this approach is over. So let's turn up to the chart and discuss Fisher one more time. I'll do it 2 times so that everything is clear to everyone, right? Fisher's transaction version of quantity theory. What is the name? Transaction version. Why do people need money for transaction? Focus on supply of money as determining prices. Concerned with money as a means of transactions. MV equals to PT. MV equal to PT. That's all. That's all. This is also called equation of exchange. This is also called equation of exchange. Let's say institute asks which one of this is the equation of exchange. This MV equals to PT is also known as their equation of exchange. Game over. So Fisher's approach is finally over. Fisher's approach is finally over. Okay, fantastic, sir. Okay. After Fisher's approach class, now I will take you to another head that is called what, dear students? Cambridge cash balance approach. So first approach is over. First approach was Fisher's quantity theory approach. Second approach is the Cambridge cash balance approach. Is the Cambridge cash balance approach. Now, who were the supporters of this approach? Marshall, Pigot, and Keynes. By the way, let me tell you something about Keynes. Keynes later on came with his own approach. In his earlier works, he supported this. But then he had some kind of rethinking done and he came up with a separate approach. So try to understand Cambridge cash balance approach. As per Cambridge cash balance approach, people need money for two prime reasons. People need money for two prime reasons. Here the two primary reasons are, or people demand money for two prime reasons. The two prime reasons that dear students he mentioned was transaction motive. That he mentioned was for transaction motive and for precautionary motive. For precautionary motive. If you all want to note something down, this should be it. Cambridge cash balance approach. Who supported Cambridge cash balance approach? Marshall, Pigot, and Keynes in his early works. Okay. And what did it exactly say? It says that people need money for two prime reasons, transaction and precautionary. Sir, what is the precautionary motive, sir? We have forgotten. Transaction, we remember, for buying goods and services. Dear students, precautionary motive is, as per this one, Marshall, Pigot, and Keynes, that see, anything can happen in the future. Future is uncertain. So you need to keep some money at home to, fight such future contingencies, to fight such future uncertainties. And, and it gave the equation. And it gave the equation. It certainly gave the equation MD equals to KPY. MD equals to K times PY. Demand for money is constant K into P into Y. Constant K into P into Y. So it focused on demand for money as wealth. Cash balance approach also focused on demand for money as wealth. That is something that can be stored. And what is the equation they gave? MD. MD is total demand for money, depends on a constant. P is price level, Y is income of the income overall. Here it is. PY is nominal income, K is proportion of income held as cash. So see, MD is demand for money, K and PY is the nominal income. Now, can I explain you? Can I explain? Suppose somebody's nominal income is 500. Suppose somebody's income is 500. But the entire 500 people don't keep. They invest somewhere, right? But some portion they want to hold as cash for two reasons. For buying and selling, or maybe for future uncertainty. So let's say 70% people want to keep as cash. So 0.7 is K. So how much is the monetary demand? 0.7 times 500 is how much? Tell me. 350. So people will keep 350 at home in the form of ready-made cash, readily available cash. That is an example. So you should note it down, students, that MD is money demand, K is proportion of income people hold as cash, and PY is the nominal income. This is the Cambridge cash balance approach. Cambridge cash balance approach. Here, for what reasons people need money? For two prime reasons: transaction and precaution. Transaction and precaution are the two reasons here. Done, sir? Done, sir? So, everyone, now let me again take you through that chart after having taught you this. Okay. Cambridge cash balance approach. See, money is demanded for two reasons. I have told you already. Okay. Enabling sale and purchase, buying and selling. If institute asks, which motive is this called? What will you say? Transaction motive. And hedge against uncertainty. It is called what motive? Precautionary motive. Hedge against uncertainty means to protect yourself against future contingencies. That is called hedge against uncertainty, or that's called precautionary motive, everybody. Now, dear students, demand for money depends on what, and what. Pay attention, everyone. It depends on income, wealth, and interest rates. It depends on income, wealth, and interest rates as per this concept. How it varies, I will teach you that. Let me take you to the notes. Here it is. See, price and demand for money are directly proportional. So if the price of commodities rise, you will want more money to buy the same commodities. Didn't you understand? Let's say, suppose rice is available at 50 rupees. In your family, you eat 5 kg rice. So total money demanded is 250 to buy rice. But suppose rice goes to 60 rupees a kg. You people are eating 5 kg rice only. So your demand for money went up to 300. So it is directly related with price level. Income also. Obviously, if people have more income, they will want to spend more. So their uh, demand for money will be more. But yes, it is inversely related to interest rate. That's correct. If imagine how so, sir? If banks are offering interest rate of 8%, will you want to keep your money with yourself as cash, or will you want to keep it with the banks? Sir, obviously we will want to keep it with the banks in order to earn higher interest. So when interest rate goes up, people's demand for money goes down. Why? Because people will want to earn higher interest rather than spending on the unnecessary things. So I would request everybody to, note this down. Four things. Acha, one more thing, students, technological innovation also. Like you see today, we have UPI payments, all right? Paytm and GPay and all these UPI schemes. Because of these, do I need to keep a lot of cash with me? No, I can keep the money in my bank. Please note all these down. Please note all these down. Variable and its relationship with demand for money. Please remember, unit 1 only focuses on demand for money. Different concepts, why money is demanded. Different approaches, why money is demanded. Okay. Having said that, class, how many theories have we studied so far? Let's revise them. There are two theories we have done. One propounded by Irving Fisher, and that was called what? Quantity theory of money. Why do people need money there? To undertake transactions. Then we came to whose approach? Cambridge approach. Cambridge cash balance approach. As per Cambridge cash balance approach, for how many reasons we need money? For two reasons we need money. What are the two reasons we need money? Number one was to undertake transactions and a hedge against uncertainty. That is precautionary motive. What is the relation here? MD equals to KPY, where K is the proportion of income people want to hold in the form of cash. Game over. Game over. Done. Then Keynesian LPT. Keynesian LPT. Third theory is what we are on to. What is the name of the theory? Keynesian's liquidity preference theory. Of course, the name itself tells you who gave this theory. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes. Now, this is the first time some economist said that money is demanded for all the three major reasons I highlighted for you. What are the three major reasons, class? For transaction purposes, for precautionary purposes, and for speculative purposes. So as per Keynes, Keynes was the first one to say money is needed for all the three reasons. Transaction to make day-to-day payments, precautionary to protect yourself against certain future emergencies and contingencies, and third one, speculative. I gave you the example of Reliance in the beginning, that you find an opportunity that, okay, if you buy some shares of Reliance today, you will benefit in the future. That is speculation. Guesswork, some kind of guesswork is available. So investment opportunity. Understood, sir. Now, Keynes came out with some very interesting concepts. Pay attention, everyone. At high interest rates, if interest rates are high, demand for money will be low. So people will shift their money to what? Bonds. Pay attention, it's logical. Na? If bonds are offering high interest rates, why will I keep money liquid? I will invest my money in the bonds so that I am able to earn higher interest. Bonds are issued by the RBI on behalf of the government. On behalf of the government. So you can buy bonds and enjoy high. So you should note it down. At high interest rate, people will prefer to hold bonds. But at low interest rate, suppose a bond is offering me 3%. For 3%, will I part with my money? No, I will say, okay, I don't need this 2-3% earnings. It's better I keep my money in my house. You should note it down, students. Two things you need to note down. First of all, Keynes' theory name is what? Liquidity preference theory, right? Number one thing. Number two is why people need money. Okay. So there is this thing. And finally, the three reasons you know: transaction, precautionary, and speculative. And finally, you know it, whatever is written here. Transaction, precautionary, and speculative. Transaction, precautionary, and speculative. Okay. Transaction is for day-to-day payments. Precautionary is for emergencies and uncertainties. And speculative is for investment opportunity waiting. Okay. So here it is. Having said that, class, having noted it down, there is a concept of liquidity trap. I will explain it in great detail from the ICAI module only. But before I do that, first, let's cover it up so that nothing is pending. See, Here is the Keynesian liquidity preference theory, right? Here, Keynes said people hold money for three prime reasons, है ना? Need for cash, need of cash for transactions. You may be undertaking cash transactions for personal purposes, like for buying food for the house, or for going on a family trip, or for business purposes. You may need cash also for business purposes. That is okay. So cash can be needed for transaction, personal or business purposes. Next is precautionary motive. Next is what? Precautionary motive. To meet unforeseen and unpredictable contingencies. That is in future. See, nobody can predict the future. So to meet that, you need precautionary motive. See, this is an umbrella to protect against bad times. Okay. And speculative, as I had told you, you are predicting some market fluctuations. So you want to take investment opportunities, investment risks. Right. Now, transaction motive is directly related to income, doesn't affect by interest rate, because it is not that if somebody tells you that, okay, listen, I am going to offer you 8% interest rate. So will you not buy food for yourself? The money that you would put in the food, will you invest that? Of course, you need money for the food. So the transaction motive is not affected by interest rate. Logically, yes or no? Precautionary motive, income elastic. It depends on income. If you have more income, Ambanis have very high income. So for their safety, they would have kept a lot of money aside. For a middle class like us, we would have kept very little money aside for our future contingencies. Yes or no? And not very sensitive to interest rate. Okay. If somebody tells you that we are going to offer you high interest, you don't keep any money with yourself for family protection for the future. Will you invest that money? No. The money that you have bought for transactions, you have brought for transactions or for protecting yourself against future risk, you would not invest anything. Yes or no? Speculation is the one which you have brought for what? For investment. So if the market is offering higher interest rate, you will prefer to hold less money, because ये पैसे ही हमने किस चीज के लिए रख रखे हैं? इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए. तो मार्केट हमें अगर हाई इंटरेस्ट दे रहा है तो हम लोग खुशी खुशी इन्वेस्ट करना चाहेंगे यहाँ. हेलो. Hello, students, am I clear? Hello, everybody. Yes, sir, it's clear to us. Yes, sir, everything is clear to us. All right, now, class, class. Pay attention. Very important concept. This is a very important concept. See, if interest rate is greater than the critical rate, first of all, what is the critical rate? First of all, let's try to understand. Write it down, everybody. Critical rate. Dear students, critical rate is what the investors expect. Ki minimum, critical rate is minimum. For example, I say for me critical rate is 7%. That if I am investing, then at least I need 7%. Otherwise, I will not invest. My critical rate could be different from your critical rate. Your critical rate could be 8%. Somebody else's critical rate could be 9%. It could be anything, class. What I'm trying to convey here is critical rate is the minimum expected. You can write it down. It is the minimum expected investor interest rate. Minimum expected investor interest rate. Minimum expected investor interest rate. Now hear it out, class. Now hear it out, class. If interest rate I is the actual interest rate. You can write it like this here. I is the actual interest rate. Now class, visualize carefully what this graph is. Nobody is going to ask you to draw graphs. Come on. It's an MCQ paper, but try to understand. Suppose this is my critical rate, okay? RC. Suppose it is 7%, okay? Now you tell me logically what should be my decision. I am here talking about which demand for money? Speculative demand. Because whatever money I have kept for transaction purposes or for precautionary purposes, that money I am not going to touch. That money I am not going to touch. That money I will keep for transaction and precautionary purposes only. That money I am going to keep for transaction and precautionary purposes only. Now, pay attention, friends. Dear students, so suppose the critical rate is 7%. The critical rate is 7%. Friends, if the critical rate is 7% and market is offering on bonds 10%, please think and tell me, should I hold money with myself or should I keep bonds with myself? Interest rate on bonds is 10%. My expectation is 7%. Bonds are offering 10%. What will I do? Hold bonds? So here it is. When it is high, hold bonds till this level. But let's say my expected rate of interest is 7% and the market is offering me meager 2%. Tell me something logically. Do I need to invest in bonds now? I am expecting 7%. They are giving me 2%. So just for 2%, will I risk my money in the bonds? I will not take such risk. Then I will prefer to hold what? Money. So it's the trick. If interest rate is greater than critical rate, what is written here? If I is greater than RC, that is if the actual interest rate is greater than critical rate, then you can hold bonds. If I is equal to A, you are indifferent. So you can invest or you may not invest. But if I is less than A, critical rate, then you will definitely prefer to hold money because critical rate is 7%. You are expecting 7%. I is the actual interest rate. Bond is offering only 2%. So why will you put your money in the bond? You will hold your money. So that's very important decision making factor, dear students. Sir, we have understood what you just said. Okay. Now, there is a concept class. There is a concept class which I would like to explain you. That's called liquidity trap. First of all, the MCQ purpose, what is needed? First, I will explain you that. Students, government is seeing that economy is facing a deflation. What is economy facing? Deflation. If you don't understand deflation, now you understand. What is it? Recession. Recession is economic slowdown where investments have gone down, people are not having jobs or very few are having jobs, the earning potential has fallen, unemployment rate has increased, much like you saw in the COVID time, economic slowdown. Much like you saw in COVID, what did you see? Economic slowdown. Okay, sir, but what is liquidity trap? So what will the government do? What does the government do? Government reduces the interest rates. Loan, interest rate on loans. Sir, why did the government do that? Actually, what was the intention of the government? That if we reduce the interest rate, public will want to borrow money from us and they will start spending. The investors will start investing, consumers will start purchasing. Suppose I am an investor and if I see that bank is offering 0% interest, I mean, I take the loan of 10 lakhs and I only have to repay 10 lakhs. If I witness that, class, if I witness that I have borrowed 10 lakh and I am repaying how much? 10 lakhs. Then students, what would happen is that we are near zero. That we are near zero. And as a customer, as an investor, I will take loan from the bank and invest into some business. As a consumer, You were planning to buy a house for long, but high interest rates and all these things were severely affecting you. So what did you decide? You finally bought a house. You finally bought a house. When you bought the house, when you purchased that house, it was good for you because you were offered at zero interest rate. This is what the banks are expecting, what the government is expecting will happen. But during emergency, in Japan 2000, year 2000, it happened. Go and research it. If you are interested in real life examples, go and research it. In Japan, what happened, this monetary policy of the government, this monetary policy of putting interest rate to zero in order to circulate more loans became useless. You know why? Because yes, people went to the banks, they took the loan, but instead of spending or investing in the economy, they started hoarding money because they were afraid even bad times are about to come. Even worse times are about to come. What was bank expecting? Do you understand the difference between expectation and reality now? Banks or the government had pursued a monetary policy and reduced the interest rate to zero. Why? They had reduced it to zero, thinking that thinking that people will borrow the money from them and people will spend it in the economy. And when people spend, economy will come out of slowdown. What actually happened? This was expectation, now reality. Yes, people went to the banks. Yes, they took money. But instead of spending that money in the economy, what did they do? They started hoarding that money. They started hoarding that money. They started keeping that money with themselves. They started keeping that money with themselves. That is liquidity trap. When monetary policy of the government becomes useless, instead of spending money, people hoard more money. Monetary policy becomes ineffective. This is called liquidity trap, dear students. This is called liquidity trap. Japan's experience in 2000s is a real life example. Understood, everybody? Now, class, having said that, this is what liquidity trap is all about. Let's read it out from here also. And I wanted to display you the diagram also. See, interest rate is 0%. Money demand is perfectly elastic. So everybody is demanding money. At 0%, everybody is demanding money, but nobody is spending money at this level. See, situation when interest rate is at or near zero, public prefer to hold money rather than bonds. Speculative demand becomes perfectly elastic. Very important. Here, during this time, speculative demand becomes what? Perfectly elastic. Monetary policy becomes ineffective in stimulating economy. What did the government think? Government ने क्या सोचा था कि economy में purchasing start होगा, people will start buying. Government had thought, but people borrowed that money and kept it with themselves. People borrowed that money and kept it with themselves. So students, this was till what did I teach right now? Till Keynes. So whatever we have done so far, it's time to again summarize it. See, this is a method of studying where you keep recapping whatever you have done so far. You will remember things better. So till now, as I remember, we have done till three theories. Okay. Number one was your Irving Fisher, QTM, classical theory of money, right? Which said that money is needed for transaction purposes. After QTM, that is the classical theory, came which theory? The Cambridge cash balance approach, which said that the money is needed for two reasons, transaction reason and precautionary reasons. Then came who? Keynes. Keynes came up with which theory? LPT, liquidity preference theory. LPT, liquidity preference theory. LPT. Keynes came up with LPT. Here, Keynes said money is demanded to satisfy, money is demanded to satisfy all the three needs: transaction, precautionary, and speculative. All the three needs. All the three needs. Then came the liquidity trap condition. What does the liquidity trap condition say, class? That whatever policy the government might pursue, whatever policy the government might pursue, the monetary policy becomes totally ineffective, useless. Understood, sir. Now, class, let's come to the post-Keynesian development. In post-Keynesian theories, you have what, sir? In post-Keynesian theory, number one is, you could write it, everyone, in post-Keynesian inventory theory approach propounded by Baumol and Tobin. I will explain, don't worry, this entire thing, this entire picture. So, this Baumol and Tobin, dear students, pay attention, everyone. This Baumol and Tobin, they thought money like in a business. Suppose you have a furniture business, okay? You have a furniture business. For example, wood, ply, sun mica, all these things is your what? All these things are your stock, inventory that you will need to manufacture furniture. Okay, okay. Under this approach, my dear students, inventory theory approach, dear students, Baumol and Tobin considered Baumol and Tobin considered cash as an inventory, as if it is a stock. And they said, if market is offering higher interest rates, we will keep less stock of cash with ourselves. If market is offering less interest rates, we will keep higher stock of cash with ourselves. Then your question would be, so what is the optimum amount of cash? What is the optimum amount of cash one should keep with themselves? Okay, they came up with the formula called the square root rule. C is the optimum cash balance that you should keep with yourself. All of you can use it in your day-to-day life also. That how much cash you should keep. Formula is root 2 by by R. C is the cash that you need to withdraw, that you need to hold. B is the brokerage fee. What is brokerage fee? See, whenever you buy a bond, you have to pay some percentage to convert cash to bonds. Yes or no? So let's say if bond is 500, you have to pay some commission. It becomes 500 too. So this 2 rupees expressed in percentage terms is called brokerage, B. And R is what is the interest rate offered by the market, and Y is what is your current income. When you apply this formula, you get how much cash you should keep with yourself. This formula has square root. That's why it came to be known as square root rule. Now there are two MCQs I can possibly think of. Okay. Baumol and Tobin. Baumol and Tobin's. Just a minute, class. Baumol and Tobin. Baumol and Tobin considered money as dash. Answer, inventory. As a stock. Question number 2. What concept did they came up, Baumol and Tobin, to calculate the exact amount of cash balance one should withdraw? Square root rule. Third could be, what is the square root rule? Root 2 by by R. Fourth question could be, in root 2 by by R, what does B indicate? Brokerage charges to convert cash into bonds. Another fourth or fifth question could be, if interest rates are high inventory of cash held will be less or more? Less, because if interest rates are high, I would put my money into the bonds. I will put my money into the bank that offers me highest interest. Why will I keep cash? See, if concept is clear, if you have understood, ultimately this is not study. This is, you are understanding the belief of somebody else. Here, Baumol and Tobin. So if you're saying I am learning that's wrong, you're understanding approach of some person. That's okay. Now class, having taught it from here. Acha, one more thing. After I have completed this entire unit, we are definitely going to practice MCQs today. Okay. So here it goes. Here it goes. Okay. No, no, no. This is the ICAI module. No. So yes, inventory approach. So first of all, remember the name inventory approach. Who came up with this concept? Baumol, Tobin. Okay. And how did they view money? They viewed money as a inventory held for transaction purposes. So here also the motive is clear. What is the motive? Transactions. Transaction motive. They they spoke that there are two assets that they understand. There is something called money. If you hold money, you will not earn any interest. Naturally so. If you are keeping money in your house almirah, it will offer no interest. But if you invest money in some bonds or some certificate of deposits, you are going to earn higher interest. And when you convert, that is, you put your money into bonds, there is a cost of conversion that is called transaction cost or brokerage cost. Do you remember that? Yes or no? That is called transaction cost or brokerage cost. And individuals will always prefer to hold an optimal cash balance, so that their total cost is minimum, so that their total cost is minimized. And Baumol came up with a rule. What's that rule? Square root rule. Let's hear it out. This is the square root rule. C is the average cash holding that people are doing. B is the brokerage or the transaction cost. Y is the annual income, and R is the interest rate. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Understood, everybody? Right, sir. So we have been able to understand this much, class. Now, let's move further on. Let's move further on. Baumol, that is inventory approach, we have been able to complete. Now, having done that, we will now talk about Friedman's modern quantity theory. Friedman's modern quantity theory. Okay, what does it say? Students, Friedman, like Baumol and Tobin said, view money as an inventory. Just like in a business, there is a machine, a capital asset. Milton Friedman said, you think money as a capital asset. You think money like a long-term capital asset and treat money like a durable good that will last for long. And he said that others are wrong. He said that how much of your money you hold as cash today. Everyone was saying it depends on current income, current income, current income. Yes or no? He said wrong. He said how much money you hold today depends not just on current income, it depends on permanent income. It means that how much you expect to earn in the futures, that is called permanent income. How much you expect to earn continuously in the future, discounted to present. I did not say discounted to present as it would make the discussion more complicated. In simple language, आप फ्यूचर में क्या कमाते रहोगे उसका आज का वैल्यू निकाल लो. When you are expecting that, okay, this too I will learn in the future only, then you take the decision to do something today. Somehow it is correct. I will tell you why. if I am buying a house and let's say I'm taking a home loan, I am expecting that in future I would be able to earn enough money to repay that home loan. So am I buying the house just because of my current year's income? Also on the basis of my future year's income, and therefore it is influenced by permanent income, not just current income. Next, how much money people want today not only depends on permanent income, it also depends on returns on alternative asset. So if some other asset, if I invest my money, money is like an asset. If I am holding that asset today, that asset I invest somewhere else, let's say in a project, in a machinery, that will give me 10% for the next 10 years. That is also to be seen. That if I am holding money, what compromise I am making, what sacrifice I am making on the other assets, what I could have earned if I had invested the money somewhere else. And finally, what is the inflation that is expected? So Friedman came up with some new concepts, which is different from everyone. First approach was Friedman was treating money like an inventory or a capital asset. Capital asset. Second point, did he say current income or permanent income? He said permanent income. And alternative asset classes. He was the first to speak about alternative asset classes. Nobody else did before him. So let's see. Let's see from here. Here is your Friedman, right? He said demand for money is an application of general asset demand theory. It is determined by permanent income, that is the wealth you are expected to earn, and relative returns on asset. Relative returns on assets. Right? Now, demand for money is positively related to prices. So more the price, more the demand. Also, demand for money increases if opportunity cost decline. Means if bonds are not offering much returns, bonds are offering less returns, then people will want more money. If there is inflation, महंगाई बढ़ गई, prices have increased, so demand for money will also increase. And money, how much you demand depends on your total wealth. How do you calculate your total wealth? Your permanent income divided by discount rate. In maths you have done, in maths you have done in the chapter mathematics of finance. It's a 15 marks chapter. There you would have studied it, everyone. Majority of you would be able to recollect. Yes sir, we are able to. Okay. So permanent income by discount rate. Got it, sir. So this was Friedman's theory. Now, which asset classes did Friedman talk about? Let me take you to the ICAI module and tell the same. Always I tell you all, ICAI module is the best. For economics, because I am taking economics now, you don't need any other book for this particular subject. ICAI module is the best. My entire note that you are seeing has been extracted from here only. Only one thing is remaining. That is why I taught you that how much demand you do for money depends on total wealth. How do you calculate total wealth? Total wealth is permanent income divided by discount rate. Please write it down. Total wealth equals to permanent income by discount rate. Please write it down. Total wealth equals to permanent income by discount rate. Acha. And interestingly, he also said what is the discount rate. He also mentioned, Friedman also mentioned what should be the discount rate. Only this part I wanted to teach you from ICAI module. Defined as the average return on how many asset classes? 5. To calculate discount rate, you need to take average return on how many asset classes? 5 asset classes. Average return that you expect to earn from these 5 asset classes. What are the 5 asset classes, sir? Bonds, number 1. Equity, number 2. physical capital number 3, human capital number 4. Okay, these money, bonds, equity. So what 5 asset classes are we having? Money, bonds, equity, physical capital means machinery, and human capital means labor. So a very easy question could be, which one of them was not a asset class given by Friedman? Or another question could be, Friedman spoke about how many asset classes? Answer is 5. Class, what are the 5 asset classes? Number 1 is money. Number 2 is bond. 3 is equity. 4 is physical capital. And 5 is ultimately human capital. There it is. Okay, sir. Understood, sir. After Friedman, after Friedman, class, we can proceed further. Friedman ke baad we can proceed further. And now we can finally talk about Tobin's portfolio balance theory, which is the last theory of this unit. And we will be safe to move towards MCQs then. Okay. Tobin's portfolio theory. What does this theory say? This theory says that forget everything. This theory says, Tobin says, forget everything. Just maintain a good balance. Just maintain a good balance. So some portion you hold as money, which will not give you any returns. The amount of cash kept at my home is not giving me any returns. Okay. Some portion of it you keep as money. It will not give you any returns. And also there will be no risk. Nothing will happen to the money kept at home. And some portion, everybody should keep in some risky assets. Everyone should keep some portion in the risky assets. Why so? Because risky assets offer higher return, but then they also come up with more risk, more return, more return, more risk. Understood? And therefore, investors should prefer always a what? Balanced portfolio. You should always diversify your funds. Always diversify your funds. If you want a slightly greater detail, let me bring it to you. Let me bring it to you here. Here it is. Demand for money as a behavior towards risk. So it's a very important head. Who gave the theory of demand for money as behavior towards risk? It was James Tobin. And then he brought a concept, risk averse. If investors are risk averse, it means they prefer less risk. So everybody will want to keep a balanced portfolio. Some portion they will keep in money, which is a safe asset, because it will not, nothing will happen to money. It is safe. And bonds and shares, their values keep fluctuating. So risky asset. He talked about maintaining a balance between portfolios, isn't it? And in liquidity preference, we did that already. Money is inversely related to interest rate, nothing. Now students, conclusion. Some pattern across all the theories. Acha, after Keynes, how many theories did we study? 3, if you all remember. Till Keynes, there were 3 theories. We have revised, I will not revise again. The classical QTM theory, the Cambridge cash balance approach, and the third one was this one, Keynes liquidity preference theory. And after Keynes, there are 3 theories. Baumol and Tobin inventory approach. Yes. Then you had Friedman, permanent asset, permanent income. And then you had Tobin's behavior towards risk. Let's see. All theories agree on one thing. You can note it down, class, that demand for money will increase with real income. So when real income increases, demand for money will also increase. Every theory agrees. Nobody is denying that. Right? Demand for money increases with real income and falls with interest rate, because demand for money increases with fall in interest rate. Why? Because if interest rates offered in the markets are less, people will prefer to hold money rather than anything else. Rather than anything else. This is the main conclusion in short. And what are the key takeaways? What are the key takeaways? Let's see. Money is determined or demanded for how many motives? Three. Transaction motive, precautionary motive, and for speculative motive. These are the three reasons people demand money. Next, Keynes introduced interest rate as a key determinant. Post-Keynesian emphasized money as a store of value. Liquidity trap is a situation when monetary policy becomes useless, ineffective. This is it. This is it. Let's practice some MCQs, class. Let's see what we can answer or not. Here it is. Let's go, class. Let's go, everyone. Which of the following is not a characteristic of a good money? Divisible? Yes, it is a characteristic. They're asking not. Durable? Yes, it should be long lasting. Uniform? Uniform means across the world, across the country, it should be same, but easily counterfeited. Will you want your money to have easy fakes? No, you don't want that. So this is not a characteristic of good money. The function of money. Think carefully, students, before answering. I will wait. The function of money that allows individuals to save purchasing power for future. To save purchasing power for future. Which function allows to save purchasing power for future? Tell me, class. To save purchasing power for future. See, for future, to save purchasing power for future means store of value. Earlier it was B, here it is C, store of value function of money. Understood or not? Right, sir. Easy, 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 easy. Which theory says MV equals to PT? Irving Fisher. We had started with Fisher only. So it's quantity theory of money. MV equal to PT. What is MV, P and T? Let's see. M is money demand. V is velocity of circulation. P is price level. T is transaction velocity. Transaction basically. So Fisher's QTM. Acha, by the way, this is also called equation of exchange. Class, this is also called equation of exchange, isn't it? Right, sir. In the Cambridge approach, demand for money is represented as what? In the Cambridge approach, how do you represent the demand for money? Remember, it's the Cambridge approach. Think and answer. Think and answer. Demand for money. Very easy. MD equals to KPY. If you all had paid attention, I am sure you would have got it correct, class. MD equals to KPY. Done, sir. According to Keynes, which of the following is not a motive of why you hold money? Which of the following is not a motive for holding money? What say, class? Think and answer. So students, pay attention everyone. Which of the following is not a motive behind holding money? The correct answer is consumption motive. Because you see, we have transaction, speculative and precautionary. Transaction is buying goods and services. Speculative is for future risks, and precautionary is for future risk, and the speculative is for fluctuation in prices. So consumption motive is not a motive. What is the liquidity trap? See, all these questions are now coming to give you marks. Let's see whether you are able to answer or not. What do you think is the correct answer, dear students? I'm waiting for another 1 or 2 minutes. Everybody, please confirm. Pay attention, everyone. So see, money liquidity trap is a situation where money supply becomes, yes, useless, or rather ineffective at zero interest rate. It becomes ineffective or useless at zero interest rate, my lovely friends. The opportunity cost of holding money is a fantastic question. That is, if you are holding money, dear students, you are sacrificing something. अगर आप money hold कर रहे हो, so in the process of holding that money, you are sacrificing something. So what is the opportunity cost of holding money? See, you are not sacrificing inflation. You are sacrificing the interest that you could have earned on the bonds purchased. अगर आप मनी होल्ड करेंगे, अगर आप मनी होल्ड करोगे, तो आप जो बॉन्ड्स पर इंटरेस्ट कमा पाते वो नहीं कमा पाओगे. अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट का मतलब होता है नेक्स्ट बेस्ट ऑल्टरनेटिव सैक्रिफाइस्ड. Alternative is students, the next opportunity cost is students, the next best alternative sacrifice. You have studied it in your cost chapter, opportunity cost. हाँ, without seeing the options, let's see whether we are able to answer now. Which theory considers money as an asset like bonds or shares? I have thought of the answer. They think money like an asset, bonds or shares. One hint could be there were 5 asset classes: human capital, physical capital. It was by Friedman. It was by Friedman. Let's see they have given an option or not. If not Friedman, see here they have not given option of Friedman. When they did not give option of Friedman, it could be Tobin's theory also. Tobin's theory that we did at the last, that the entire money, you can divide it into 2 parts. Yes or no? One is without risk. One is without risk. Just a minute, students. One is without risks, riskless money, and the other one is with risk, like shares and bonds. Had Friedman be the option, I would have written Friedman, but they intentionally did not give Friedman. To check whether we are able to answer this, so the correct answer is Tobin's portfolio theory, because portfolio theory talks about 2 things. It primarily talks about 2 things, friends. Right, sir. Understood, class? Yes or no, everybody? Right, sir. Understood, sir. So, my dear students, that's your Tobin's portfolio theory. Got it, sir. Any doubts, any other question is welcome. If clear, then I can proceed further. All right, sir, go ahead. According to Baumol's inventory approach, now it's good one. inventory approach, optimal cash balance is calculated how? How is C found out? So students, the correct answer is following a square root rule. You all would remember it. C equals to root 2 by by R. Root 2 by R. B is your brokerage or transaction cost. Y is your annual income and R is your interest rates. Let's go ahead. Good one, sir. Speculative demand for money. How is it related to the different factors or the different variables? Let's see whether you are able to answer this one or not. It's a good question, class. So class, the speculative demand for money is positively related to income, inversely related to interest, directly related to price, or independent of opportunity cost. So the correct answer is inversely related to interest rate. Because see, I had told you the transaction demand and precautionary demand do not depend on interest rate. Interest rate bade ya ghate, they will not change because they are essentials. But speculative demand depends, and it is correct, they are inversely related to interest rate. If market offers higher interest rate, I will invest my money in the bonds, so my demand for money will go down. I mean, I will keep less money as cash balances, and vice versa. If the banks are if the market is offering me lesser interest, then I would sacrifice any kind of bond and I would prefer to hold money in that case. It's a very easy concept. Okay, in Keynesian theory, speculative motive arises due to what? So what is the speculative motive? They're asking the definition of speculative motive here. Let's see. Understand and explain, class. Think carefully and answer. See, the speculative motive arises due to expectation of change in interest rate. You see that, okay, interest rate is going to rise or you are going to make more money, and therefore you undertake such a decision. That's absolutely perfect. Right, sir. Understood? Everybody has understood it, sir. Fantastic then. Question number 12. According to Milton Friedman, key determinant of money demand. Key determinant of money demand is, there are many determinants he spoke of, okay? Which is the key determinant? Is it the current income? Is it the future expectation, permanent income, or government spending? Look, one thing will stand out here. It is the permanent income. And how do you calculate permanent? In fact, Friedman was known for his permanent income concept. Other things were same only. How do you calculate permanent income? Do you remember, class? Yes, sir. Future income expected, I mean total wealth is equals to permanent income by discount rate. Right, sir. Understood? Right, class. Now, what is velocity of money? They're asking, what is velocity of money? Think carefully and answer. What it, remember the keyword here is velocity. भैया वहां से भी विनोद भैया कर दीजिएगा। वेलोसिटी ऑफ मनी, it refers to speed at which money is destroyed. No. RBI policy cycle. No. Average number of times money changes hands. So suppose I get 500, I give somebody 500, they give it to somebody. So here the exchange has taken 3 times. I got 500, I gave it to somebody, they gave it to somebody. So average times money changes hands before they ultimately reach someone's bank account. Where? Because once they reach bank account, it has stopped. Or once they have invested somewhere, it has stopped there. So average number of times money changes hands. Now, what does MD equals to KPY explain? What does MD equals to KPY explain? Tell me, class. What does MD equals to KPY explain? By the way, who gave this MD equals to KPY? Do you remember? Cambridge. Cambridge cash balance approach. Now, what does it say? Money demand is independent of income? No. Money demand is based on income and price level. Because you see, P is price, Y is income, and P into Y is nominal income. P into Y is nominal income. Okay? Agreed, everyone? P into Y is nominal income. Right, sir. So here it says money demand is based on income and price level. Understood. And remember, PY is nominal income, mind you. Okay? Taking you forward, which theory introduced the idea of very important, and I have discussed it already. Who introduced the concept of interest rate influencing money demand? It was Keynes. So write it down in your notes. Keynes introduced the idea of interest rate influencing money demand. Keynes introduced the idea of interest rate influencing monetary demand. Got it, everyone? Right, sir. Got it, sir. Moving on. Liquidity preference curve. Haan. They're asking about the shape of liquidity preference curve. Is upward sloping, vertical, downward sloping, or L-shaped? Class, it is downward sloping. You know why? As interest rate falls, people tend to hold more money, right? So here is the curve. I will show it to you. Liquidity preference curve you wanted to see, na? Here it is. Demand for money. See, as the interest rate is falling, people are preferring to hold more and more amount of money. That is why we call it, downward sloping curve. So please note it down, class, everyone. Please note this down. Not the graph, I mean. You don't need to note down the graph, but I want everybody to note this down, that there is a liquidity preference curve is a downward sloping graph. Here you have interest rates, here you have interest rates, and here you have money demand. On y-axis, you have interest rates. On x-axis, you have money demand. Understood, class? Right, sir. Understood. Ha. According to Baumol, you remember Baumol who said, think of money as an inventory? So according to Baumol, cash balances are kept. Why? To invest in stock, earn capital gains, minimize transaction cost, or hedge inflation. To minimize transaction cost. Because they said, if you invest more money into the bonds, more transaction cost you will have to pay to convert cash to bond. So according to Baumol, cash balances are kept to minimize total transaction cost. You should write this statement even. According to Baumol, you should note it down, everyone. According to Baumol, cash balances are kept to minimize total transaction cost. These are just few pointers, they are important, can come up in the exam. Friends, let's take you to some other discussion now. Okay, let's take you to some other discussion now. All right. Speculative demand becomes perfectly elastic when inflation is zero, interest rate is zero, bond price falls, GDP increases. Speculative demand becomes perfectly elastic when interest rate is zero. This becomes the graph. I hope you all remember this. You know why? Because people are taking more money, demand is increasing. And what are they doing this with this money? Yes, they are in fact hoarding it. Which economist applied capital asset demand theory to money? Treat money like a capital asset. Friedman. Who taught us to treat money like a capital asset? Friedman. We have written it already. In Fisher's theory, yes, MV equals to PT. V and T are constant. Okay. So increase in M leads to increase in P. So proportionate increase in P. Obvious na? If V and T are constant, if this rises, and if this rises, this will rise. Yes or no? Yes, sir. These were some 20 MCQs. Students, some 15 MCQs are still pending from the ICAI module. Let's wrap them up as well. So this unit will be complete for good. But it will be incomplete if you don't read it at least 3 times. I always say read at least 3 times religiously. Let's see what institute is asking here. Choose the incorrect statement. Anything that would act as a medium of exchange is money. No, for some, because there are many things. This is wrong. They are saying anything that would act as a medium of exchange is money. No, for anything to act as money, it should be medium of exchange, measure of value, standard, store. Look, other statements are perfect. Money has generalized purchasing power and is generally acceptable in settlement of all transactions. Yes. Money is a liquid asset. Yes. Currency which represents money does not have any intrinsic value. Correct. Sir, we did not understand this statement. Let me take back that 50 rupee note. This is 50 rupee note, class. See, I have only this much, so don't make fun of me. This is 50 rupee note. Now, students, if this is 50 rupee note, in reality, this is a piece of paper. Does this piece of paper have any value in reality? If the government says that, okay, from now on, 50, this note is not a legal tender. Is this worth even 1 rupee? That is called absence of intrinsic value. That is called absence of intrinsic value. That if I sell it as a part, I would get nothing. It's a mere piece of paper. Okay. Now, students, number 2. So A is the wrong one. Okay. Money performs all of the 3 functions mentioned below. All right. Mentioned below, namely medium of exchange, measure of value, and store of value. Unit of account means measure of value. In fact, when we had begun the class, I had started with this only, unit of account function only. Look, this was a PYQ I had told. Demand for money is a derived demand. It has not arisen directly. It has arisen because of demand for some other goods and services. Class, this is my favorite question of all. Higher the dash, higher would be dash of holding cash and lower will be the dash. This way, students, have to put everything in place and think. See, I will say how I am thinking. Higher the demand for money. So if there is higher demand for money, will there be higher opportunity cost? Higher the demand for money, let's read it, and lower will be the interest rate. No. If opportunity cost is high, what is opportunity cost? Sacrifice. What am I sacrificing? Interest rate. So if opportunity cost is high, interest rate will also have to be high. So A is rejected. I like this question a lot. Higher the price level, let's say, let's put it here, higher the price level. Okay, so price is high. So higher would be the sacrifice and lower would be the interest rate. See, it is not possible. If opportunity cost is high, interest rate will also have to be high. So here again, eliminated, rejected. Out of C and D, one will be the answer. Think carefully in such questions. Learning won't help anyone. Okay. Higher the real income. Okay. My income is higher. My income is higher. Okay. My income is higher. ठीक है. I have high income. Higher would be my opportunity cost of holding cash. And lower will be the demand for money. No, it is not fit here also. Because if my income is high, my demand for money will also be high. Here they are saying if income is high, demand for money is low. Is it correct? No. So what would be the correct answer? B. D. Now don't trust me. Let's put it and check whether D is in fact correct or not. Let's see everyone. See. Higher the interest rate, higher would be the opportunity cost because interest rate is my sacrifice. And if interest rate is high, my demand for money will be low because I will put my money to bonds. See, now I am able to establish some kind of relationship here. 5. Quantity theory of money holds that changes in the quantity theory, QTM, Fisher, changes in the general prices are caused by changes in quantity of money. Okay. Because if more price, more demand, less price, less demand. Okay. There is strong relationship between money and price level. Yes. MV equal to PT. V and T are constant. So M equals P. Yes. So all of the above. अगर दो सही हो गया तो सभी सही है ना? Why will I read the third one? Good one. Good one. Cambridge approach is also known as cash balance approach. The full name I had taught you was Cambridge cash balance approach. Next, 7th one. Fisher's approach and Cambridge approach. Fisher's approach and Cambridge approach to demand for money consider what? Both of them, Fisher and Cambridge, is that money is a means of transaction and it is only transaction demand for money. Yes. Yes. Both the common was transaction. Yes, Cambridge did tell about precautionary demand also. But what was common is transaction demand for money. Huh? We were asked the common point. I gave the common point. What is real money? Of course, nominal money adjusted by price level. I had told you time and again, whenever you adjust inflation, you get real. When nominal is adjusted by 1 plus inflation rate, you get real rate. In maths also, you would have studied this. If not, you would. Precautionary balances. The precautionary money balances people want to hold. The precautionary money balances people want to hold as income elastic and not very sensitive to rate of interest. Yes. You know why? In precautionary balances, when your income increases, I give them example of Ambani's. They will keep the more money for future risk than us. But does precautionary depend on interest rate? No. Even if I get better interest rate, I will not compromise with the future. So I will keep that money for the future. Speculative demand for money. Now, is it related to interest rate is what they are going to ask. How are they related to interest rate? Think carefully. Speculative demand, mind you friends, speculative demand it is. How is it related to interest rates? How is it related? Come on, class. Speculative demand for money is related in what manner? Negatively related to interest rate. You know why? Because if you get more interest rates in the market, right, is negatively related. Pay attention, everyone. Why? If interest rates are high, your demand for money will be low. You will want to keep lesser demand because you will want more money to be invested in bonds. Demand is the money that you want to keep in cash. You will want to keep less cash. According to Keynes, question number 11, according to Keynes, if current interest rate is high, if current rate is interest rate is high, people will always expect the opposite. अगर आज interest rate high है, then people will expect interest to fall and the bond price to rise in the future. If current rate is high, interest rate is high, people will expect then it will fall. And when current interest rate falls in the future, the bond price is going to rise. Number 12, the inventory. The inventory theory approach to transaction demand for money. Inventory theory. Inventory means Baumol and Tobin. Explains negative relationship between demand and interest rate. Yes, you know why? Because this is 2by by r. So this is demand and this is interest rate. Here it is the numerator, here it is the denominator. Whenever there is this, it is inverse. But you see in that relation, MV equal to PT, M and P both are numerators, direct. When both are numerators, it is direct. When one is numerator on one side and the other is denominator on the other side, it is inverse. It is inverse then. 13th point, class. Let's hear it out. Let's clear it out, class. According to Baumol and Tobin, dear students, according to Baumol and Tobin, dear students, according to Baumol and Tobin's approach to demand for money, optimal average money holding is function of income and price, function of transactions, negative function of interest, all the above. It is correct, na? Baumol and Tobin's, what is the formula? Root over 2by by r, positive of income and price. Yes, you see here it is income, right? Demand for money, positive function of transaction cost. B is the transaction costs and negative to interest. Yes, it is the denominator. So when B rises, C rises. When Y rises, C rises. But when R rises, C falls. So all these three are correct. Next is treating money like capital asset. Friedman, if it exists, if the name exists, Friedman, you don't have to think towards the other options. Friedman would necessarily be the correct answer, class. Friedman would necessarily be the correct answer. And eventually, class, the last one, which will close our discussion and session for the day. The nominal demand for money rises. Nominal demand for money rises. What happens? The nominal demand for money rises if opportunity cost of money holdings decline and vice versa. Yes, it's correct. So if bonds are giving me lesser interest, it means my opportunity cost has gone down. So my demand for money will go up. Why not? Other options you see, opportunity cost of money holdings rises and vice versa. No. If nominal demand rises, opportunity cost also rises. How is it possible? If my opportunity cost is rising, then my demand will fall, right? So that would be the correct order. With this, class, I have been able to complete unit 1 in full detail. That's it. Goodbye everyone for the day. Yes, yes, yes.